Hey everybody! Today I am so excited to be bringing my version of a TBR game. It's about to get so nerdy. Alright, so I have seen a ton of TBR games lately and I could not help myself. I had an idea of my own and my brain would not let go of it until I put it into action. So, I'm introducing my character TBR game. It's gonna be a little bit D&D, a little bit whatever comes along the way. It's still definitely a work in the progress, but I think I have enough of the mechanics and definitely enough of what I want it to start out being. So, I have a huge TBR. I went through several years where I would buy a ton of books and read maybe one out of 6 or 7 that I bought. And so I have a lot of books and even older books that I really want to finally get to, a lot of series that I want to start and or finish. Also, because I'm a teacher, I have a lot of kids books on my shelf that I haven't read yet. And one of my goals is to read every book on my shelf. So right now I have probably 10 Junie B. Jones books that I need to work my way through. Don't take a long time, but there's a lot of us. So here's my game. I have, gosh, where do I even start with this? Okay. I put all of my books from my TBR into categories based on genre. So right now I think I have 11 categories and I put them on these little cards. So this one is a classic and they're all on these pretty little things. I had a ton of scrapbook pages that I never used because I thought I was going to get into scrapbooking. Another project I did not complete. But yeah, so for level 1, each category or each genre has 5 books that I need to read. Okay, so that's my basic start. There's no prompts right now. There are just all my cards, all my books. Now this is all of them. This is like level 1. So each genre has cards and books. They also have characters, which I'm so excited to show you. So I went on Pinterest and just kind of searched like D&D characters, kind of took my inspiration from that and pictures I found. I'm going to put some of the artwork up. I tried to find the artists for a lot of these and it just kind of took me down a Pinterest rabbit hole. There were a few artists that definitely had their name on the artwork, and so I'll put those up there. Here are my characters associated with their genre. So first I have Rue. This character is my historical fiction character. Each character is going to have a weapon and a familiar. So her weapon is actually in her umbrella. It's a sword. And then she has her little cat. So this is Rue. Got the name. All the names of my characters come from books. So this is obviously my tribute to Hunger Games, which is not a historical fiction character, but whatever. Then I have Inej. Inej is my graphic novel / manga character. So here she is. This is Inej. She is an elemental. She has a little ball of energy right here, and then her little pet mouse. That's her familiar. This is probably my favorite drawing, and it's based on one of those pictures as well from the Lunar Chronicles. And this is my short story novella poetry. So kind of any of those shorter. So here's him. He's got a book. That's his weapon. Research, knowledge, powerful weapon. His little squirrel for a familiar. He's cute and chunky. The artistic styles do not match. Also, a lot of them are going to have this like hand behind the back because I can't draw hands or faces, and so the art is not the main point here, you know. Anyway, this is Sabriel, which I named my channel for out of Garth Nix. She has a wand and a little rabbit. And she is actually one of the twins because I have so many series. in my TBR that I separated them out into fantasy series and just other, whether that's contemporary, sci-fi, kids, elementary, that kind of thing. So she is for fantasy series. That's why she has a little wand. And her twin brother is Bartimaeus, which I got that name from the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. So if you have not read the Bartimaeus trilogy, I highly recommend. It has a very sassy demon named Bartimaeus. And so here's the other twin. He has some dynamite down on his waist here, and that beautiful puppy, big pup. Then we have Minerva, Harry Potter tribute. I was gonna go with Hermione, because she's so incredibly badass, but I felt like I would actually want it to look like Hermione, and so I went with Minerva. Does not look like Minerva at all, but this is for classics. So here's Minerva. She has that necklace around her neck. That's her power, a little amulet, and a bat. The bats, it's very cute, but it doesn't go, but I'm not going to worry about it. I can't, if I wait for everything to be perfect, I'm never going to get to this. So, 4 more. Next is my big beastie boy. His name is Briggan, and that is from the Grayson kind of trilogy, the second book, Fire. There's a character called Briggan who is like super supportive and just kind of the best guy ever. He's my nonfiction character. He's super tall. He's got a wolf with bad eyes and a battle axe. And another great one is Sam. He's just for general fiction, fantasy, that kind of thing. And Sam is a tribute to 2 Sams. First of all, Game of Thrones Sam. Second, Lord of Rings Sam. So we got a lot of great Sams in literature. So here he is. He's a little bit smaller. He's got his dagger. He's got his owl on his shoulder. He looks like he's going to be kind of sassy. A little bit of a jokester. So I like the look of him. I like how he turned out. Then another girl, Dagny. I just finished reading Atlas Shrugged. Talk about that in my classics. She was such a strong female character. So this is Dagny. She's my romance. She's got a snake around her shoulders, Britney Spears style, and she doesn't have a weapon, but she has a shield, because that seems like the right thing for a character about romance and love. Shield. And last but not least, my mystery thrillers. We have Nox, which is a side character in Throne of Glass. So this is Nox. He's got a hawk, and he's got a little ninja throwing stars, throwing knives, that kind of things. He's going to be dark and mysterious. So, each character is going to be going on missions and challenges. They progress through those challenges and those adventures as I read books. The first level is going to be them trying to find pieces of themselves. They're going to wake up and be just spirits, just kind of wispy versions of themselves, and they're going to try and find their full pieces. So as I get books, I will start coloring them in and adding to their characters. As far as their familiars, the kids' books, since that wasn't, I have so many in that genre, it would have like overpowered all the others. For each familiar, there will be a card. So this one's Magic Pony Circus Surprise, and it is the first piece of the Little Rat familiar. Once they get to 3 pieces of their familiar, they'll have the full advantage of that character. So once I get to my TBR, I'll set up the story a little bit more, kind of get you all in the mood. But as they go along, I'm also going to be adding in challenges, because potentially this level 1 could take a while. I have 2 monster cards. When I get at least 1 piece of every character, I will add in the little monster card. And with that, I'll be rolling a d6 to figure out the monster's strength. And I'll talk about that more when we encounter the card. But yeah, I'll be rolling a d6 for this guy. Once I get to 1 character that is a full character, he's got all 5 of his soul pieces, I'll be throwing in the big monster. And that guy is a level 10. So those will just get mixed in. I also have 2 Monster Munch cards will get mixed in when I add each monster, 1 for each. And that just gives +1 to the monster. And I'll explain those again once those comes up. So those are some cards. I also am going to add 2 Readathon freebie cards. So If I'm doing a readathon that month and I draw this, I can use this to search the deck and look for a book that fits the prompt. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to hope that something I draw fits the prompt. If the books that I draw don't fit the prompts, then any extra books that I read just don't count for my character's adventure. I also have a draw and a discard, which means I draw one more and then I have to get rid of one. So it could be good unless I have a lot that I really want to read. I have a skip card, which means the book that I drew right before this, I have to return to the deck, even if it's one I'm excited for. I have a search. I can find a book on this level that I'm just really excited to read, which there are some in there that I really want to get to sooner rather than later. So this is a good card. And then I have a read up. I only picked 5 books for each genre, for each level. And so some of the ones that I have a lot for, like the series fantasy, the regular fantasy, the graphic novels, I may want to read something on a different level first. So read up lets me pick a book from level 2, level 3, those kind of things. Those will get mixed in. I'll be drawing 10 cards each month. And if I don't finish all 10, there's no penalty. They're just going to get shuffled back in. And I was going back and forth on this because things are just so different right now. And I have no idea what the upcoming months are going to look like. And so I don't want to make it so if something changes and I'm all of a sudden reading a lot more or a lot less, there's any penalty. I want this to be fun. So right now, I'm definitely reading more. I've already finished like 12 books for this month. And over the summer, I would usually be reading more. But once August comes around as a teacher, that's usually when I read the least amount, August and September. So I don't know what this upcoming school year is going to look like. And I want to be able to continue to do this without feeling like I'm stressing myself out. So I'm going to be drawing 10. If I get through 10 and I still have time to read, I'll just draw more and show you guys that in my wrap up. But for right now, I'm really excited to just get started picking my May TBR because this is going to end up being a long video. Oh, other random rules. So for each book that I give a 5-star rating, I get a bonus for that genre against any upcoming challenges or monsters. And for any books that I give a 1-star rating or that I know I'm going to eventually unhaul, I am going to give 1 bonus point towards the monster for that genre. So those are just some other random things. I am going to shuffle these cards in and get to the actual TBR. I am not putting the 4 monster cards in, the Monster Munch or the Big and Little Monsters yet, because I don't have any characters to fight anything yet. They're still just little ghosty boys, and they need to find their souls. But the other kind of skip, search, freebies, those are all getting spread out. Alright, it's time to draw. I'm so excited to see, like, I don't even care what books I get. I'm just excited to get started with this. Okay, so book number 1. 50 great short stories. So this is going to be in my short story graphic novel. And I think I actually have it. Yeah, I have it behind me. It's this huge chunker. It says for 7 to 9-year-olds, but I'm going to read it as a 31-year-old. It has a lot of short stories, and since some of my short stories were like collection of short stories instead of a singular short story, this is actually going to count for 2. The next one, If I Were in Charge of the World. So this actually counts towards the Squirrel Familiar. It is by Judith Forrest. This is just a bunch of poems for kids. I put it in my kids section, not my poem section, because it was in my classroom for so long. Book 3. Oh, we're off to a funny start. Okay, Beware of the Purple People Eater. Now, I put my Goosebumps books in the mystery genre, not the kids genre, simply because I only had one other actual mystery book, and I I'm gonna do a haul pretty soon because I just bought a bunch of books actually, and so I didn't feel like buying more books. So I figured I'd just make this work. So, Beware of the Purple People Eater by R.L. Stine himself. Here it is. You can tell it's been in my classroom because it is duct taped. I forgot this, but it's a choose your own adventure. Choose from over 20 different scary endings. Apparently, you start out and your aunt is telling you to go to the basement. Oh, your aunt tells you to stay out of the basement, but you get hungry, and so you go down there and there's a jar of purple goo and you think it's jelly, and so we're going from there. I'm gonna try and read all 20 endings. How fun will that be? Okay, ooh, I'm excited for this. Off to a good start. Mostly kids books, so I hope we get some like actual big books. We still have 7 more draws, so here we go. The next one is Encarceron. So our first thicker book is Encarceron by Catherine Fisher. And I don't actually know what this one is about. It says, Finn can't remember his childhood, he can't remember his life before Encarceron. A prison that has been sealed for centuries, where inmates live in cells, dilapidated cities, and unbound wilderness. No one has ever escaped, but then he finds a crystal key and a girl named Claudia. Getting kind of a Maze Runner just from that. And it even says on the cover, the prison is alive. I liked the first book in Maze Runner, so we'll see how this one goes. I don't know. Let me know if you've read this book. But book number 4. Book number 5, guys. Another kid's book, The Reaction by K.A. Appleton. So this is for the cat familiar. And I don't know if any of you all read Animorphs, but I'm about to. I bought a few of these from a like super thrift store. They were 10 to 25 cents each, and I went on a nostalgia kick and bought like 10 of them. So here we go. You get these beautiful artwork of this girl turning into an alligator. I think you're supposed to read these probably in order, but I'm not going to because there's no way I'm buying like all 50 of these. Hi. But yeah, so 1 minute she's doing her homework, the next she's morphing into a full-grown crocodile. Oh, crocodile, not alligator. Guess I'll learn something. My cat wants to say hello. I don't know if he's ever been on it before, and this is already a long video, but this is Cinder, also named after the Lunar Chronicles. He's a sweetie, and he wants to get down. Alright, so that is book, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more. Next I have The Upside of Unrequited. It is by Becky Albertalli. And it says, from the award-winning author of Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda, which I've heard a lot of great things about, but I have not read. So I'm interested to see how this one goes. It's going to be one of the few romances I have. I have a lot of Sarah Dessen stuff and just kind of general YA contemporary romance kind of styles. But I've read most of them already because I went through kind of a romance kick. Romance number 1. Then we have Series of Unfortunate Events. So I put this as other because I feel like it's more of a kids series than a fantasy, kind of that bigger fantasy feel. This is actually volumes 1 through 3. So I'll go ahead and read all 3. Yeah, I'll read all 3. I feel like I don't have a lot of bigger books yet in this stack. We'll see how it goes. Next up, I have another fantasy series starter, Dawn of Spies. So here's Dawn of Spies by Andrew Lane. I'm going to read you the back of this because now that I'm looking at it, it seems all over the place. So, rescued from a deserted Caribbean island, 17-year-old Robinson Crusoe and his female friend Friday find themselves in late 1600s London. Thanks to their own survival skills, Crusoe and Friday are recruited by a young writer, Daniel Defoe, to work as agents for a covert spy group that reports directly to the Crown. Crusoe, Friday, and Defoe must rescue the Countess from a kidnapping plot. They discover that a mystical and mysterious organization known as the Circle of 13 is plotting to destroy their group and change the course of history. So we've got a deserted island, a writer who's also a spy, and a royal person getting kidnapped by a mystical group. So maybe some magical realism. Looking at this, I don't have as high as hopes as I think I once did. I don't even remember buying this. So we have two more draws. A Journey to the New World. This is a historical fiction. It is another one of the kids ones that I put kind of in a different genre because I just have so many kids books. Here's A Journey to the New World, The Diary of Remember Patience Whipple by Catherine Lasky. And it starts with the Mayflower in 1620. So I think it's a girl and her journey on the Mayflower, and then part of it is on the Mayflower and part of it once she lands in Plymouth. So a nice little historical fiction read for me. And our last book is one I'm so excited for. This is probably the one I'm the most excited for of this whole stack so far. And that is another series that I've already read the first one for, One Dark Throne. And I'm really excited for this one. I loved the first one. It was like just the perfect amount of fantasy for me. And I've really been on this like royals battling for a position kick lately. I've kind of gone through phases. So like before this, I read, I think it started with Throne of Glass. I was on like an assassin's kick, so I have a lot of assassin book in here. And then I found, it may have been this one, and it got me on a royal versus royal kick. So One Dark Throne. Here we go, my TBR. I don't know. I'll probably get through all of these because this is a reasonable stack. I don't have a lot going on right now. I have a lot of free time to read, so my goal is to get through all of them, but with some extra I kind of get to go with how I feel. I'm not going to draw anymore unless I've read all of them, but I can kind of pick and choose which one I want to start with and where I go. So that's it. I am so excited to continue my TBR game with y'all. I'm excited to get started reading, and I hope you enjoy this. Even if you don't, I'm freaking excited for it. So there you go. Thank you all, and I'll see you later. Bye.